What's up, everybody? It's me, Eman, and today we're going to review the movie It. Not today. Not today. All right, let's get into a quick intro. A number of children begin to go missing in a small town. Soon after, a group of bullied children begin to experience the same terror from a murderous clown named Pennywise. All right, let's get right into the good.
The good.
Now, the movie It doesn't waste any time in terms of getting right to the good stuff. In less than just 10 minutes into the movie, we're already introduced to this crazy clown Pennywise. What I really appreciated about this movie was the fact that we really didn't have to go through all those traditional horror movie setups. Now, in most jump scare horror movies, we tend to get a lot of camera shots of a certain area that basically will be later on used to have the monster jump out at you. While the movie It does have a couple scenes like that, it doesn't rely on that to be a crutch. So fortunately, when we do get to certain scenes in the movie, you really don't know when something is gonna pop out at you or not. Now, the director for this movie creatively used a wide variety of camera shots and misdirection to give you some really timely jump scares. Now, of course, pumping up the volume at the time of the jump scare is a perfect way to get you to jump right out of your seat. One thing you'll probably notice about this movie is the fact that there really isn't just one way that it tries to scare you. There are a number of scare tactics that Pennywise uses to scare his victims. A lot of those scare tactics are probably gonna remind you of a couple horror films that you've probably seen before. It's that level of variety that keeps you from anticipating even the cheapest jump scares that are in this movie. Now, one thing I really didn't see coming was that there was so much more humor in this movie than I thought. A lot of that comic relief came from Finn Wolfhard. He played Richie in the movie. His wisecracking jokes and foul mouth always seemed to lighten up the mood after we saw something really creepy. I think it's pretty fair to say that Sophia Lillis probably had the deepest character in the movie. She delivered an excellent performance balancing her complex emotions given the disturbing home life situation her character has to endure. Now, of course, I've got to give props to Bill Skarsgård, who played Pennywise in the movie. Obviously, a lot of people are going to compare him immediately to his predecessor, Tim Curry, who played Pennywise in the 1990 movie. Personally, I think that Bill did the character justice. There was just some sort of eeriness that came with the character every time you saw him on screen. I thought it was really impressive to see Pennywise go from being really charming to immediately being sadistic and just plain evil. And if you weren't afraid of clowns before, he might just change that up for you. Okay, enough of that. Let's get right into the bad.
The bad.
Unfortunately, the movie It was not impervious from committing some very classic and, well, routine errors that a lot of horror movies end up making. The first problem was the fact that they revealed the monsters or ghosts or whatever way too much. Most of the time when the kids are being terrified by these monsters or ghouls or whatever, it's actually pretty scary. That is, until we actually get a really good look at the monsters and you notice the CGI effects, and then that whole scariness just tends to diminish itself. So you'll get that quick jump scare, but then after a while you're like, oh, it's only that monster thing. Okay, whatever. And you just get over it really fast. It's almost like the movie will go from a scary, insidious movie to Goosebumps in a matter of moments. Now, maybe this was part of the books, but a thing that annoyed the hell out of me, as usual, is when these characters do the dumbest things. And you already know what I'm talking about. The character sees something that they know is a trick, and yet they still have to go investigate. I'm sorry, but the whole like, oh, but they're just kids and they're naive, I'm not buying that excuse, because at a certain point in the movie, these kids know what they're dealing with, so they really don't have that excuse to rely on. All right, last thing, and maybe this was in the book also, but I'm really not a fan of the over-adulting and the over-sexualization of all these preteens in the movie. Not only were the kids using a lot of adult language, dropping F-bombs, but they were also using a lot of crude adult jokes as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not the old guy that's like, back in my day. It just felt a little off because some of the things that they were saying, it just really felt like you're a kid reading something that an adult wrote for you to say. And I guess if you have read the book and you know about the bonding event that the characters do at the end of the novel, then it's kind of hard not to feel even more disturbed while watching this movie. Okay, enough of that, let's get to the reason.
The reason.
Now overall, I really enjoyed the movie It. Keep in mind that I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who hasn't read the novel, and the last time I saw the original movie, I was a real young kid, and I can only recall parts of it from memory. I also only saw bits and pieces of the TV series too. So I'm coming into this movie slightly naive, even though I do know the history and I know what happens in the story, but it still feels kind of new to me. The film felt very similar, but different enough to stand alone as its own type of horror movie. So if you really want to compare the movie It to something, let's think of like a bowl of salad. So you've got a bowl of Jeepers Creepers, topped with some crunchy Insidious and The Conjuring bits, and you drench all of that with some Are You Afraid of the Dark? Now that's a healthy horror. So when it comes to the rating of It, I've got to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Now the movie It is totally worth watching in theaters, and I definitely recommend checking it out. I was asked before whether or not this was suitable to have your children watch it or not. Now while I can't tell you exactly what to do with your kids or not, what I can tell you is at least some of the things that'll be in the movie, so that way you can make the best call. There's a lot of cursing, there is a lot of violence, there's some sexual innuendos, a little bit of pedophilia type of stuff going on, some sexual abuse, adult humor, violence, and some gore. So if you're okay with exposing your kids to that, whatever. Since I never really watched the movie It in its entirety as a child, I never really developed that sense of fear of clowns that a lot of people claim to have because of that movie. I can probably say though, if you did have that fear of clowns, this movie is not going to help you whatsoever. So good luck! Well, that's all I got. Thank you very much for joining me. Did you see It already? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think that it was better than the original? Do you think it was better than the book? Was there something that you wish that you could have seen from it? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and share it with your friends. If you ever want to stay connected with me, the best way to do that is to join the 33,000 fans on Facebook on my Facebook fan page. Please stay tuned. I've got a lot of movies that I'm going to be reviewing very soon and more videos to come. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.